as the excitement and anticipation for the Outlast trials is building and growing every single day, I want to talk about everything that I want to see out of the Outlast trials. And I'm going to give you guys 5 things that I really want to see out of the Outlast trials at this point in time. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and your list of things that you want to see out of this game in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, coming in at number 1 for me, I talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel, and I understand that the Outlast Trials is an indie horror game that's going to be coming out, but what I would love to see out of this title is a full package. I want to see a single player story, guys, that also can be played, cooperatively, but really I want to see it being, something where there's co-op modes. So we have a single player story, some co-op modes, as well as multiplayer. I would love to see that, guys, in some capacity or another. I think that the Outlast trials and Outlast as a whole could really do well as a multiplayer title where, you and a friend can be trying to escape an area and then there's someone else who's playing as the killer, essentially. I think it could be really interesting, kind of like a Dead by Daylight kind of style, Friday the 13th, something of that nature. I think you could certainly do it here with Outlast and the Outlast trials in particular. I just think, guys, that it's really important, and co-op's a huge, move in the right direction here. We've had 2 Outlast games up to this point. We're getting this 3rd one, and they're adding co-op, which I think is awesome because that's going to bring you back to the experience over and over again to play with your friends and such. Because usually after you beat a single player story once or twice, you'll move on to other games, and I really want people to play this game, but I want them to continue coming back over and over again. And I think the way that you do that is certainly co-op modes, which obviously they're going to be doing co-op here for us in the Outlast trials, that being the guys over at, Red Barrels. But it would also be great to see some multiplayer elements to this, some way, shape, or form. I want it to have its own flavor and its own kind of take on multiplayer. But obviously, it's hard to say whether or not they're going to do that. Maybe it gets added on later. It's hard to say, but really it comes down to us guys voicing our opinion for what we would like to see in the Outlast trials. And Red Barrels, they're pretty receptive, guys, to listening to what the community says. At least take all those things, and they obviously have their own vision for what they want to do, but they're definitely listening to the community. That being said, guys, that leads me to number 2. One of the things I really want to see out of the Outlast trials is a ton of variety here of different I should say not really weapons, but because I don't think we're going to be getting weapons in this game, but more so different characters, different enemies. I want there to be a lot of variety here, as well as, obviously I think what made Outlast and Outlast 2 so terrifying were so many moments where there's so many close times where it feels like you're just about to die from the enemy, and you have timing is everything. And I think that that's something that you had to almost get down to a science in Outlast 2 in particular, and even the first Outlast. And so I think with this one, some tight corridors, I would love to see some significant variety though of what it is that we're doing. And I'm sure, guys, this is going to feel kind of like a, one of those, Saw movies. I feel like it's going to be something like, could be from like Squid Game, things of that nature, all kind of give me this idea of what Outlast Trials could very well be. It's going to be really interesting to say the least, but I want to see a lot of variety there as far as the different enemies that we're coming across, as well as, I want to learn as much about this story as possible. That leads me to number 3, guys. Number 3, one of my criticisms of Outlast 2 was that it took me about 7 hours to beat the game. And a lot of people out there are probably thinking, well, you know what? That game was so scary. I was glad when it was over after those 7 hours. For me, though, guys, I want to learn more about these stories. Even though they're terrifying, that's why we love the horror genre. We want to continue learning more about this world and what happened here and what's going on. And as we're uncovering more and more, the tension rises and rises over time. And so for me, I would love to see, it doesn't have to be, I don't want like an open world game. I mean, semi-open world maybe, but I think, guys, that for me at least, I want to see a game that's could be double what Outlast was, or Outlast 2, that being like a 7-hour title. I would love to see it be a longer game, because I think, guys, even though it is they are terrifying games. I mean, some of the scariest games ever made, some of the best horror games ever made, guys. I really want there to be I just want more. I want to be able to learn more about this world that they're building and creating. And I think it's really interesting, guys, this one not being like a direct continuation of Outlast 2, so because it's not Outlast 3, this is the Outlast Trials, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they start piecing all of this together, guys. So I really would love to see a longer story here where we're learning more and more about the characters and about the lore of this world. Coming in, guys, at number 4. The biggest thing for me is I want to see every step of this journey. It's kind of led us into the next part or the next chapter of Outlast. And I want the Outlast Trials to lead us into the next generation of gaming here for Outlast as a whole. Whether we're talking about the continuation of the lore, continuation of the story, leaving us, whether it's on a cliffhanger, whatever it may be, to leading us into that next generation of Outlast games, guys. Obviously, we have the new consoles, that being like the Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation 5. I really want this to set up that next generation of Outlast. Now, maybe Red Barrels is thinking, hey, after the Outlast Trials, we want to do another IP or, start something new. To me, though, guys, there's so much rich lore and such to learn about Outlast, and I really think that this is a special horror title that is unnerving and terrifying in so many different ways, but has so much rich story to it. So I would love to see that continue and have Outlast Trials set up the next generation of, this genre, but also this game and franchise in particular for the future. Coming in, guys, at number 5 for me. What I would love to see, even though like Outlast and Outlast 2 did great, guys, as far as numbers go and things of that nature, what I would love to see with Outlast Trials, I think it would be awesome if there were some free-to-play elements here. We know that when this game releases, it's probably going to have the $60 price tag. What would be awesome, though, is if you had a mode, maybe like a co-op mode or something of that nature that wasn't necessarily the story, it was just some co-op modes that you could play with your friends, where it was free to play. People could at least try it for free. It would at least bring a ton of exposure to Outlast and the Outlast franchise, in my mind. Have some free to play elements so that obviously it widens the gap of how many people are able to access it and try it out and just give it a try. Because I think that a lot of people, when they start seeing some of these indie, horror games, they're wondering, is this worth that $60 price tag? I think having a free to play mode would be absolutely huge for the Outlast Trials. Just at least getting people to try it. And then obviously, as you're building more and more culture, which Outlast 1 and 2 did in a great way, I think that this one would actually help it long term, whether it's for the Outlast Trials or just the future and the long withstanding nature of this franchise. So those are the things, guys, I would love to see out of the Outlast Trials. Let me know in the comment section down below. What is it that you guys want to see? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more of the Outlast Trials content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.